Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Legion video. Today I'm going to be giving you a spec overview for the brand new Demonology Warlock. This is essentially a brand new spec from what was going on in Warlords or MoP. It is completely different and new. That's been the topic of some controversy. Instead, this is based around summoning in demons rather than becoming a demon, whereas becoming a demon and metamorphosis has been shifted onto the demon hunters as a sort of class mechanic. However, I think that what they've done here is extremely cool. So how am I going to do this video? First of all, we'll talk about the core gameplay, then we'll go through all the abilities, then the talents, and then finally the artifact weapon. Speaking of which, is this guy who floats around you. Right now it feels way too static. They really need to improve his kind of bobbing around animations, but I think it is a very, very cool artifact weapon. So, this is all about summoning in demons. There's a few different ones you can summon in. First of all, you've got your permanent active demon, just like always, so there he is. But you've got some new abilities. Call Dreadstalkers and Hand of Gul'dan. Hand of Gul'dan's now different. And then due to a talent, we've got Summon Inquisitor. That's a level 100 talent, but it's one that I'm playing with as a baseline thing because the spec is way more fun to play with it. So, these are called in via Soul Shards. Soul Shards are generated through two different things. Shadow Bolt, which if I just select a target here, there you go, Shadow Bolt goes out, I get a Soul Shard. And then also Doom. Doom will sit on your target for like 14, 16 seconds, whatever. I think I've got a haste buff at the minute, which is changing the tooltip. And once it has sat there for its duration, it will then explode, doing a bunch of damage and giving us a Soul Shard. So those two things give us Soul Shards. We then spend our Soul Shards summoning in demons. Let's just get right to the chase and summon a demon in. Here's Call Dreadstalkers. This will summon two Dreadstalkers in who will attack your target. They will last for 12 seconds, and it's got a 15-second cooldown. We then have Hand of Gul'dan, so this will consume up to 4 Soul Shards. It will do a big bit of AoE damage and summon in up to 5 Wild Imps based on the amount of Soul Shards that you spend. So let's do Hand of Gul'dan. So it goes down, and you can see right now they're all spawned inside the target dummy, but we have a whole bunch of little imps there. Now that's the main gameplay, and then I'll just show you the Inquisitor. This is a talent, but I think it will be baseline when Legion comes out, and this summons this guy in who will attack your target. So we've got our main demon, we've got the wild imps that come in through Hand of Gul'dan, we have our Inquisitor, and then we have our Dreadstalkers. However, the Dreadstalkers, the Inquisitor, and the imps are very much, they're resources, right? They're not permanent demons. They pop in for a few seconds, then they leave. And they're very much a part of your core rotation. On top of that, we have Demonic Empowerment. This will empower your active demons, increasing their haste and health by 50% for 12 seconds. It will prefer your stronger demons first. So, as an example, if we have 2 demons here, and then I use this, it has empowered both of them. And they're both getting some nice little effects there. However, if I just generate loads and loads of resources here and summon in all the demons and then use it, we will see that it actually is a little bit different. So there we go, we've got our Dreadstalkers, our Inquisitor, and our main demon. If I now use Demonic Empowerment, you can see that not everybody has been empowered because it does your top 3. So this is my strongest, my Inquisitor is my second strongest, then it chooses one of my dogs. And the way that this works though, it's got a 12-second recharge and a 12-second cooldown. So you can always use this, which is pretty cool. However, if you're in a situation where you've got your main demon, both of your Dreadstalkers, and your Inquisitor, then, as an example, you might want to go with one of the talents, which is Power Trip, which causes it to affect all of your active demons. Additionally, this isn't like a buff that's put on yourself, so if I were to summon in my Dreadstalkers here, and then do Demonic Empowerment, and then summon in an Inquisitor, you can see the Inquisitor doesn't have Demonic Empowerment, so if I wanted him to have it, I'd have to cast it again. So ideally, you'd want to do, your Dreadstalkers, then your Inquisitor, and then do your Demonic Empowerment. Of course, that all does depend on your talent. Power Trip might be something that Warlocks will end up going with. So now that we've went through the core abilities, let's just give you a run-through of how the spec plays. So first of all, we do a Doom. Actually, I probably should have just went into my Call Dreadstalkers there. Throw the Inquisitor in, empower my demons. So I now have lots of empowered demons, which is quite nice. We're going to build up to a Hand of Gul'dan here. There you go, Hand of Gul'dan goes out. Going to generate some more Soul Shards so that once it comes off cooldown, I can call in my Dreadstalkers. We're then going to use Empowerment again. And that's pretty much how this is going to be playing. You generate soul shards, you spend them in your demons, make sure you've got as much, 100% uptime on your demons as you can, and that you're correctly using your demonic empowerment. That should always be recharging. You never want to let that sit at 3 charges. And then just, any excess, burn it off on your Hands of Gul'dan. That's pretty much how it plays. Of course, health is something that actually, health and mana really play in here. So I've burnt myself down to not that much mana. Going to have to use life taps to get that back up. There you go, I've life tapped 3 times, lost 30% of my max health, but that's got me a full mana bar again. So health is, in a way, going to be a resource that you will have to worry about. Though in a raiding scenario, I think your healer will probably just be dealing with that. So there's really how the main gameplay is. Let's have a look at all the different abilities. Banish. Just banishes a demon or whatever for 30 seconds. It's pretty much something already in the game. I've already covered Demonic Empowerment. Demonic Gateway is the same thing. Burning Rush is the same thing. Makes you run real fast, but you lose health. I've already covered Call Dreadstalkers. So we've got Demon Wrath. This encircles your demons with a 10-yard AoE that pulses out damage. Each time it does damage, you have a 15% chance to generate a Soul Shard. Pretty cool ability. Let's just get ourselves some Dreadstalkers in. Then we'll use Demon Wrath, and you can see what that looks like. Basically, everything starts pulsing with this little thing around it, and that will deal damage to enemies. I've already covered Doom. Command Demon gets your demon to do their special thing. That creates health stones. Drain Life is the same. Enslave Demons the same, as is Create Soul Well. I have Kill Rogue is the same. Fear is the same. I've already covered Shadow Bolt. Ritual of Summoning is the same. Shadow Fury is a talent. It's just your nice little stun. I've already covered Hand of Gul'dan. Health Funnel's the same. Soul Stone is the same. You've pretty much got the same repertoire of demons for Summon Demon. Life Tap's pretty much the same. Ritual of Return will take you back to your Class Order Hall. Summon Doomguard will summon a Doomguard in. We'll just use that now for the hell of it. There you go. That's a Doomguard. Summon Infernals on a shared cooldown with that. The Infernals, the AoE version, it will stun enemies within sort of a target area and then do AoE damage for 20 seconds. Unending Breath lets you breathe a lot. Unending Resolve is a 3-minute cooldown that increases or decreases the amount of damage you take by 40% and grants you immunity to interrupts and silences, which is definitely quite nice. We then have your Mastery. There it is. Demonic Empowerment also increases the damage of your demons by whatever amount. So if I do that, and we then look at this guy, you can see his damage dealt is increased by 49%, which is in line with what my Mastery should be giving me. Let's have a look at the various different talents on offer. So, Demonic Calling. This is the boring one. Shadow Bolt has a 10% chance to make your next call Dreadstalkers free. Very exciting. What that means, though, is you've got more soul shards left over to pour into Hands of Gul'dan. We then have Shadow Flame. So this lobs a ball of Shadow Flame at the target. It deals some Shadow Flame damage initially, and then 8,000 Shadow Flame damage over 8 seconds, stacking, generating 1 soul shard, so I can do 2 of these. Very quick way to get some instant soul shards. Does some direct damage, and the enemy also does take some hits. So there you go, that's Shadow Flame. We've got Shadowy Apparition. Demonic Empowerment also causes your next Shadow Bolt to be instant. This is strange. It says Demonic Empowerment causes that, but in reality, it's actually Hand of Gul'dan. So if I do Hand of Gul'dan, I then get a instant Shadow Bolt. So right now that tooltip is wrong, or maybe it's just firing off the wrong ability. We move on to the 30 tier, which is all about imps. I don't think it should be all about imps, though. So, Impending Doom. Doom will summon 2 wild imps when it does damage. Improved Dreadstalkers. Call Dreadstalkers will summon 2 wild imps. Implosion sucks all of your imps towards the target and then causes your imps to explode, doing damage. Now, I think these should be on different tiers so that you could have Impending Doom, Improved Dreadstalkers, and then an ability which uses all of the imps that these have given you to do something cool. It seems like these have got great synergy, but you can only choose one of them, which means their synergy is totally kind of useless. So for Implosion anyway, just to show you what it's like, we'll do a few Shadow Bolts here. Okay, there you go. Hand of Gul'dan. That will summon in a whole bunch of imps. We then do Implosion. The imps explode. Quite simple. However, the Hand of Gul'dan imps will last for 12 seconds. If you were to detonate them instantly, then that is 12 seconds of potential imp damage that you are losing out on. Additionally, are you going to want to use this if you are in a situation where you have 2 overlapping Hands of Gul'dan, so you've got loads of imps out? We'll have to math that out. Not really worth doing right now, but there could be some, sort of higher skill cap potential with your usage of Implosion. We move on to Soul Leech. Shadow Bolt grants you and your pet shadowy shields that absorb 30% of the damage they dealt for 15 seconds. That's just some extra survivability. Mortal Coil will incapacitate a target for 3 seconds and give you 37,000 health back. It's on a 45-second cooldown. And then Shadow Fury, which is the useful one. This will stun things. So if we were to stun this rabbit, you can see the rabbit is now stunned, and of course we will have to kill the rabbit so it doesn't tell the other rabbits about what we've done. We move on to Hand of Doom. Hand of Gul'dan also applies Doom to all targets. So here's a synergy. Hand of Gul'dan applies Doom to everything. You then have Impending Doom. Doom causes 2 wild imps to be summoned when it does damage. So this could cause, 10 wild imps to appear, which is quite cool. And imagine if you could then do an implosion. You can't because of how the talents are laid out, but maybe that's some feedback that Blizzard would like to think about for future builds. We have Power Trip. Demonic Empowerment now affects all of your active demons instead of just 3. So here's the example of this being useful. I'm just going to generate loads and loads of... I'm attacking the raid target. That's a bit silly. Just going to generate loads of soul shards here. Now, the usefulness of this is really if you here have your Summon Inquisitor out. So if I were to have my Inquisitor and have my Dreadstalker, that's now 4 demons, 4 powerful demons out, and then my Hand of Gul'dan, and now I've empowered all of them, which is very, very good. And that basically means you're just, you're going to be using this on cooldown, especially right after you've done your Call Dreadstalkers and your Summon Inquisitor for when they line up. So that's Power Trip. We move on to Soul Harvest. This is a nice little cooldown. Refill 5 soul shards. Basically, you can do an extra Hand of Gul'dan every once in a while. Kind of cool, but I don't think it's a boring cooldown, actually. I don't particularly like it. We've got Demonic Circles. This is now a talent, so you summon a Demonic Circle for 6 minutes. You may then cast Demonic Circle to instantly be teleported to the location of your Demonic Circle, and it will remove all snare effects. Burning Rush is what I've went for. It allows you to lose, how much is it? Damage equal to 4% of your maximum health per second, but you can run 50% faster, which is quite fun. And then Dark Pact. This is probably more useful in a lot of situations. Sacrifice 20% of your demon's current health to shield yourself for 400% of the sacrificed health for 20 seconds. That is a massive conversion of health. It seems a little bit OP like that. Now, if your demon is dead, it will instead take 20% of your health and give you a shield equal to 400% of that. That seems super powerful, and it also lasts for 20 seconds, which is quite a while, and that is on a 1-minute cooldown. Moving on to 90, we've got Supremacy Service and Synergy. So, Supremacy empowers your demon pet to have 20% increased health and dealing 20% more damage. Now, of course, that is referring to your regular summoned in pet and not the ones that are summoned in as a part of your normal DPS rotation. So we move on to Service. This will summon in a second demon which will fight for 25 seconds. The demon will instantly use one of its specials, so the Imp will cleanse a harmful effect, the Void Walker will taunt, the Succubus will seduce, the Fell Hunter will interrupt, and the Fell Guard will stun. I'm just going to go out of combat here so I can actually use this. So to give you an example of this, I've just summoned a Succubus. We will get her to attack the target, and then I will use the Imp, which will bring the Imp in. If I had a harmful effect on me, it would have cleansed that. Nice and simple. And then we've got Synergy. When your demon or you does damage, there's a chance to trigger Demonic Synergy, granting the other one 15% increased damage for 15 seconds. So basically there's this buff, which both of you are getting off each other. And that's pretty much what's going on. You'll notice that Sacrifice is not there, I think because for them it's not very thematic with this spec. We move on to the 100 tier. Summon Inquisitor, 1 soul shard, 24-second cooldown. Summons in the Inquisitor, does some attacks. We've already seen it in action. It's the one that I go for because it's cool. Demon Bolt is now a talent, so this is basically... I think this is boring because it's replacing Shadow Bolt, so it's not that exciting. Anyway, 2-second cast, draw energy from your demons and launch a ball of demonic energy at the target, dealing chaos damage. Damage is increased by 30% for each demon that you have. So, the more demons you have, the more damage it does, but I think it's boring. You're always going to have loads of demons, so what's the point? I don't like it. I think that this is more fun because it's another thing to manage. It's more gameplay, whereas this, it's just replacing one of your baseline abilities. Though I will show you what it looks like, I suppose. So there you go. Looks very cool, granted. Very cool indeed. And then we've got Demonic Servitude. You are now able to maintain control over your greater demons indefinitely, so you can summon your Fell Guard and your Infernal infinitely. You see, here's the thing. This Infernal is a really unique, special thing whenever it's a cooldown. But if it's made baseline, I just think that's very boring. So I'm not the biggest fan of the level 100 talents bar Inquisitor, if I'm honest. Now then, let's have a look at the artifact weapon. So, it's... There we go. Yeah, it causes your shadow bolts to enrage the skull, which will cause the skull to teleport to your enemies and scream, dealing some shadow damage to enemies within 5 yards every 1.5 seconds for 6 seconds, and it fears lesser demons or undead. Kind of cool, but it's a passive, so it's not really that interesting. There's no gameplay with it there. It just happens by itself. Now, its actual ability is Thalkeel's Consumption. He drains the life from your pets and unleashes a blast of shadow damage at your current target equal to the life that he stole. Let's have a look at that. So, first of all, I should really make sure it's on my bars. So we'll just bring it onto my bars there so you can see easily when I click it. Now, we're going to get loads of shadow bolts, so we get loads of soul shards. I'm then going to call in... my Inquisitor's not there. No matter. I'll call in my Dreadstalkers. Then we'll do a Hand of Gul'dan, so we get loads of imps. And then we will do this, which causes them all to lose some health. And then he does some damage. And that's that. It's kind of interesting. It's just another thing you're going to be using. Actually, it's not as interesting as, say, the full moon, half moon thing that's going on with the balanced druids. The rest of the artifact talents are just incremental damage. They're not super interesting, but I'll show you what the main ones are. So, Imp to the Breach. That's a really fun, play in words there, Blizzard. Whenever your wild imp would expire, it instead charges the enemy and blows up. So that's quite good. We've got the Expendables. Haha. Whenever your imps die, other pets are inspired and gain 1% additional damage. This effect stacks up to 25 times. And then we have Stolen Power. When your pets deal damage, you gain a stack of Stolen Power at 100 stacks. Your next Shadow Bolt is increased in damage significantly. And that's pretty much what's going on with this class. The minor talents for the artifact weapon really aren't that interesting. Overall, I think it's really, really, really cool. Actually, I love it. I think the idea of summoning in these demons is really good. I remember one time a friend of mine who wanted to play WoW for a bit instead of Guild Wars 2 basically decided not to because he really liked the Necromancer in Guild Wars, or I think it was Guild Wars 1 even, the Necromancer, which is based around summoning in loads of, undeads and shit like that. And the Warlock was, it was just you and your one demon. This is a swarm class now. So it's going to be sending, loads and loads and loads of things into the fight. And I think that's going to be just really cool and thematic. There is a slight worry, though. So this is a lot of clutter, right? A lot of clutter indeed. What's it going to be like if you're a warrior in here, with a giant infernal, which, by the way, is increased in size with demonic empowerment, a whole bunch of tiny little feckin' imps flying around the place, and then 2 Dreadstalkers. It's going to be very visually cluttered, to say the least. So I don't know how that's going to be for raids. Maybe they're just things that you won't see as another player. Maybe only the Warlock sees these things, which would be a little bit unfortunate for a few reasons, but I think overall would be the most playable thing, at least for the raiding environment. But anyway, I think it's a pretty fun rotation. It's definitely balanced so that everything comes off cooldown in a time that's roughly when you expect, so that if you play well, it will play nice and smoothly. Things will be less smooth if you don't play well. So just, use stuff in cooldown, make sure you've always got your demons up, and I think you will have quite a good time. I don't play Demonology Warlock on live though, so whether this is more or less fun than what's currently there, I can't say. It's the sort of thing where you're probably going to have to leave that to the Demonology Warlocks, but I'm treating this as a brand new spec, and as a brand new spec, I think it's a pretty darn cool one. Anyway guys, thank you very much for watching this video, and I will see you next time.